Hi there, it's day seven of my 30-day video recording challenge. Day seven. I don't know if I'm gonna have this much energy by day 30, but whilst I do have energy, I'm gonna go for it. Today is gonna be a story time kind of YouTube. And basically, what I'm gonna talk about is my experience of the driving test in the UK and the things I learned from the experience. I passed my driving test, quite a few years ago now, but when I was doing it at the time, it wasn't as straightforward for me as it might have been for other people. Let me explain. So, to start with, let me put something out there. I did not pass my test the first time. Neither did I pass it the second, nor the third, nor the fourth, but I did pass it on the fifth. I either passed it on the fourth or the fifth attempt. Let me explain. So, the issue was, whenever I did my driving test and I didn't pass, I would just feel pretty down, and then just other priorities came up, which then meant that I stopped my driving lessons. I then went on to do other things, and then maybe it'll take me another year before I get back to it again and then do the driving test. And the way the driving test system works in the UK, it's that, first of all, there are two parts to your driving test. One is the theory and one is the practical. The theory exam, I found it okay. My main strategy for it was literally read through the UK Highway Code once or twice through, and then just do practice questions online, and then look for a site or purchase software that will let you practice the hazard perception, which is a video you'll watch, and then whenever you see something that is a hazard, which is anything that causes you to slow down or change direction as a driver, you got to click. And then just practicing doing that, and then passing the theory exam was easy peasy anyway. That wasn't my issue. But my issue came with the practical exam. So in the UK system back then, I don't know if it's the same now, but back then what it was that you had a certain number of minor mistakes you could make, and if you made any major mistakes, that was an automatic fail. What often happened is that I would make very few minor mistakes, maybe one or two. But then somewhere along the line, whilst doing the driving test, I would make one major error, and that would be it. I literally cannot remember what the errors were that didn't let me pass last time. I think one of them was that I think there was a tight situation. There was a bus coming, and I was also coming as well. I was ahead of the bus, but apparently I was supposed to have given the right of way to the bus. I didn't realize that somehow, so the instructor ended up failing me on that. But I remember after not passing my tests, feeling quite devastated and just thinking, why me? But then here's the thing. Things happen in life that in the moment when you're going through them, they feel difficult, they feel annoying, they make you question, but why? Why me? There are plenty of other people who are worse drivers than I am, and they got to pass maybe their first or second attempt, and look at me here, I'm still passing after, I'm still waiting to pass my test. But here's the thing, here's the benefit of not passing my test immediately. By not passing my test immediately, it meant that I actually had more time with an instructor in the car with me practicing my driving, which I think actually makes me a better driver today. Also, I had different instructors. Now, what that did for me was that it gave me, so each instructor had one or two things that I learned from them that I didn't learn from the other instructor. So I learned a few more tips and tricks here and there, including the instructor I had on the day of my test. So the instructor that taught me lost just before my test wasn't the one that actually took me on my driving test. I had to book another instructor because my instructor was unavailable. And so I did would be 1.5 or 2 hour lesson with him just before the test. But it all went well. I was pretty happy. And in your driving test as well, you can opt to have your instructor come in the car or go with just the examiner. So on the last test, I got the instructor to come along with me. In hindsight, I would have actually preferred, it would have been better to have the instructor come with me all those other times so that he or she could point out areas where I made mistakes and correct me and help me be a better driver and take the test better next time. But anyway, in the penultimate test, when I didn't pass it, I made sure that I didn't wait too long before I redid the test. So I think I booked the next available slot, kept practicing, and when the test day came, I said, okay, you know what, let's do this. I got in there. The first thing they ask you to do is read a license plate of a car further away from you, just to check that your eyesight is fine. My eyesight was fine, so that was okay. I got in the car, and Within the first few minutes, we did the maneuver, which I think was either a 3-point turn or turn in the road or reversing round a corner. Either way, I nailed it. And once I nailed that, I was like, okay, you know what? I've got this. This is going to be okay. Then I'm driving through a town center, going. Everything seems fine. There are pedestrians in front. I slow down. Everything's okay until I get to a point where I'm just carrying on as normal. There are no pedestrians about. And then suddenly, a pregnant lady just steps into the road. And I'm like, ah. But luckily, I stopped in time and everything was okay. I think the brouhaha was just in my head. Everything was fine. I drove back to the test center and parked the car. And I looked at the examiner, expectant. Did I pass? Did I fail? Tell me I passed, please. And then he told me, I'm pleased to inform you that you passed. I was so happy. So happy. But anyway, what I did learn from that experience, though, is that, as I mentioned before, having the experience of driving with many instructors and also practicing with different people and practicing for a longer period of time actually made me a better driver today. For example, I've driven a lot since I passed my test. I've driven to Europe. So I've driven to Amsterdam. I've driven to Brussels, past Brussels to a place called Leuven. I went with a friend to go see another friend who was studying out there. Then I also drove with some other friends through different cities all the way to Cologne in Germany. That was a really fun trip, a trip to remember. And we did all of this over a weekend, by the way, so it was pretty mad. And we were so tired when we got back. We were so tired. But it was such a good trip. And I was able to do this because, again, I felt confident as a driver to go with some friends, go traveling. I've also gone driving to Europe with my dad as well. That was a cool trip as well. And, road trips are really nice. They give you time to catch up with friends, particularly if they're friends you haven't seen in a long time. And they're just generally fun. But again, I think having gone through the situation of not passing my test initially and practicing and eventually passing the test, I do believe it made me a more confident driver. And then I was able to do all the other trips I was able to do. I know some people who've passed their test and are still somewhat afraid of going on motorways. Whereas I'm like, motorway, bring it on. Happy to take it on. Sometimes when you face setbacks in life, just realize that they actually might be a setup for something greater. Note that down. It might be a setup for something greater. So even if you've got setbacks, things don't quite go the way you plan, just realize that it's a learning process. You're learning from it and you'll do better next time. It's okay. You'll pass eventually. Just have a positive mindset and just keep going, just keep learning. And note where you make major mistakes, learn from them, and you'll be fine. Anyway, that concludes my story time. This was day 7 of my 30-day video challenge. Hope you're enjoying it. If you do like it, please give me a thumbs up, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things, and I will see you in the next video, or rather, you will see me in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye.